Today, let's stoke a sense of early morning productivity that will continue to radiate into the rest of the day. Good morning, beautiful soul. Welcome to day 5 of our 7-day morning routine journey. Today, our intention is productivity. We're going to explore some fun inspirations like our healthy habit to-do list, deep dive into being proactive instead of reactive, a nice affirmation, little healthy habit, and some reflections on how to best spend our productive time. So let's dive right in. Kicking it off with a mantra reminder. The mantra is, I am my greatest priority. I am my greatest priority. This is kind of piggybacking off of day 1, where our intention is, I am worthy. And this kind of has been present throughout each of the days, just this reminder that our self is all we will ever have until the day we die. Death comes for us all. Tomorrow is not guaranteed, at least in this body. And when we have a deep felt sense of this, we're inspired to invite today to be the next best day of our life. Remembering the impermanence of all things, especially our skin and bones, inspires us to show up with attention for whatever the day beholds and reminds us of the importance of prioritizing what is most important. Frank Ostaseski, who is an American Buddhist teacher, founder of the Zen Hospice Project, and author of the 5 Invitations, shares, death is not waiting for us at the end of a long road. Death is always with us, in the marrow of every passing moment, a secret teacher hiding in plain sight, helping us to discover what matters most in life. The most important thing to remember is the most important thing. So we're well aware of the power of an effective to-do list. What's most important about our to-do list is to list the most important to-dos. Benjamin Spall, who is the author of My Morning Routine, says, having a to-do list and sticking to it is the number one thing you can do to increase your overall focus and productivity. Period. We are most fresh and clear-headed in the mornings if we are well rested. So, what's most important surfaces easier. This is why I enjoy writing my daily to-dos at the end of my morning journaling session. This daily morning ritual primes me into the receptive mode of who I am and what I want. And there are many who will just advocate for writing out a to-do list for the next day at the end of our day, so that the moment we sit down to work, we have it right in front of us. Everything we do is because we think we will feel better in the doing or having of it. Spending time prioritizing our to-dos is a wonderful opportunity to remember and prioritize how we want to be, how we want to feel. So the next time we engage with a to-do list, let's see it for the magical manifestation tool that it is, and intentionally create the life we want with it. Creating a to-do list liberates our mind from worrying about important tasks, as writing them down guarantees that we'll remember them. Judge Jeremy Fogel shares that every morning he reflects on what actually needs to be done and how to best accomplish that, as opposed to the multitude of things that make demands on his time. A to-do list is most effective when we prioritize the items on it, and once prioritized, do the most important tasks first. For our to-do list to function correctly, we must do the most important work first. You likely already know what this is for you at the moment that you are writing out your to-dos, and of course it can change over time. So keep in mind that perhaps the most important task could be making the bed, especially if we know that it will increase the chances of getting the bigger things done. So do not underestimate those small wins and those small tasks. So your turn. Do you have a device handy to create a to-do list? Maybe just starting with what's most important to you, keeping it super short. You can always add more. Plus, an overloaded list often leads to overwhelm. And make sure you add some tasks for just some quick wins, because it feels really good to cross out a task, make the bed, whatever it might be. And remember, practice makes progress. Enjoy the process of fine-tuning your own to-do and to-be list in ways that make you feel good and set you up for success throughout the day. Checking email, news, or social media first thing in the morning spells disaster for our early morning productivity. When we check our email or social media first thing upon waking, we're stressing our brain out by jolting information-heavy data into our psyche that doesn't actually align with who we are and what is most important to us. Not checking email or social outlets makes it easier to stay in control of our thoughts. Checking email, social media, news outlets, and all these things make us reactive instead of proactive, as we're focused on the needs of others instead of addressing our own. And this is true whether, we're employed or self-employed or whatever. So don't let anyone get in the way of you and your most important tasks for the day. Courageous boundaries can be hard to gracefully implement at first. However, they're often followed by a wellspring of enthusiastic energy, ready for you to pour whatever is most important to you into it. Daria Rose is a neuroscience PhD, and she shares, mornings prime your brain for how it will function the rest of the day. Are you going to be distracted and bounce around from project to project? Or are you going to be focused and choose your activities consciously and with intention? I much prefer the later state. I get more work done and it turns out better. I'm less stressed and less reactive. So I do what I can to keep my mornings simple and uncluttered. Feel free to repeat today's affirmation out loud after me. I am a receptive and proactive being. I notice when a stress response makes me reactive. My body is an anchor that grounds me back into the present moment. I take a deep breath to quiet the critical mind. And release what does not serve me. I lovingly accept what is. I see more clearly who who I am and remember what is most important to me. I prioritize serving myself first so that I can serve others with joyous alignment. I do not let anything get in between me and my most important tasks for the day. I pour my precious, productive energy into things that make my soul sing. We have a fun, short little healthy habit for the day, which is to make the bed. Making the bed is an easy, early win that sets the day up for more clarity, focus, and productivity. Making our bed as we roll out of it is a simple way to wake up the mind and get the blood flowing and get us ready for the day ahead. It also reduces our chances of climbing back into it. Heidi Sistar is a social worker in trauma-enforced care, product management, and cross-cultural work, and she shares that when the bed is made, I feel my world is clean and orderly, and I can focus all my attention on my work. Make the first task of your day easy to accomplish. There's a reason why the military insists on soldiers making their beds every morning. It instills a sense of discipline and planning into the day first thing. Admiral William McRaven, who was the commander of the U.S. Special Operations and author of Make Your Bed and author of the Hero Code, he shares, "It's in the simplicity. I think it's also in the amount of time that it takes to make your bed. It doesn't take an hour or so to do, and yet you get this sense of accomplishment. The difference between going out for a 30-minute or hour run, or doing an hour's worth of weight training, or going off and doing an hour of meditation. This takes you a couple of minutes. Some things are hard to do in the morning, and I think those things are important too. I mean, if you can get up every morning and do your run or your PT, that's great as well. But if you're not one of those persons, still, it's good to start off with a simple task that moves you forward." Ryan Holiday is a best-selling author of Trust Me, I'm Lying, The Obstacle is the Way, Ego is the Enemy, and many other books. And he shares with us his morning routine. He says, "One of the best pieces of advice I've gotten comes from Shane Parrish. It's simple. If you want to be more productive, get up early." So I get up around 8 a.m. and I have one other simple rule. Do one thing in the morning before checking email. It could be showering, it could be going for a long run, it could be jotting some thoughts down in my journal. It's usually writing. Most mornings I try to write for 1 or 2 hours before I start the rest of the day, and then the to-do list I made the day before. I shower, get ready, and head downstairs to my office library and sit and write. The way I see it, after a productive morning in which I accomplish my big things, the rest of the day can be played by ear. It's all extra from there. So how about you? Are you a morning person? What if, despite your best efforts, mornings just aren't your most productive time of the day? Good to know. Productivity works best when it's not forced. Enthusiastic energy allows us to flow downstream rather than forced discipline that often feels like swimming upstream. Just because most people claim mornings are when they're most productive does not mean it's true for you. Perhaps you're a night owl and things align for you to enjoy productive flow later in the day. This is worthy of noticing and honoring. In finding what feels good for you, go in with eyes wide open and with the dedication to experimenting. Exploring polar opposite ways of working can be incredibly insightful. Give everything you experiment with adequate time before moving on to an opposing path, and equally, give this new path the time it deserves. The best routine is your own. In nearly any endeavor, especially crafting our sacred morning routine, we should always find what works for us, not for anyone else. There is no one else quite like you, so while we explore a variety of inspiring morning routines from others, you deserve a unique morning routine that is adapted specifically for you. Melody Wilding is an executive performance coach for sensitive strivers, an author of Trust Yourself, and she shares, most of us realize we're more productive at certain times of the day, but a key to benefiting from this information is being able to identify those times and adapt our schedules accordingly. Pay attention to the times when you're at your peak productivity. So, how about you? When have you noticed you're most productive? We would love to hear your observations in the comments or in our morning routine activity feed. Thank you so much for joining us on today's intentional session of being a little more productive with our morning routine. Tomorrow, we're looking at exercise, movement, and how to play with that within our morning flow to get the juices flowing. All right, really look forward to that. Until then, peace, love, productivity. Productivity, 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 productivity.